Hey, you're in the garage with Vic Ferrari, working on an A&N line, and these fittings are the best for pressure, oil lines, hydraulic lines, transmission lines. They are simple to use, they rotate nice, and they come with a lot of different angles. Now, the great thing about these is the stainless steel hose. Your sizes are going to go up with the numbers. So basically, your A&N 8 or -8, like -8, is going to be just under ½ inch. It's going to be 0.43. ½ inch will be 0.50. And the outside is going to be 0.63. And that's important because it has to fit this just right, and it has to fit the inside just right. So this is -8 hose, -6 hose is like 0.35, and -10 hose is like 0.58 inside diameter. So anyway, let's talk about this real quick. To cut this, you can use quite a few methods, but I like just a simple angle grinder. Cuts it off, makes it beautiful. You're going to want to make sure that you get a very flat edge when you cut it, and then you're going to want to just take your angle grinder and just go around the stainless steel braid and make sure that it's all nice and clean. You're going to take your end, you're just going to push it on by hand until it seats the bottom right up against the threads. Now this is the important part. On this end, I've got a straight, which makes it simple on this end. But this hose will not turn, okay? So you need to be aware of that, because if you have like a 45 on this end and a 45 on this end, you're gonna need to make sure those 45s are in the right place. Because, like I say, the hose will not twist. Okay, so on this A&N hose, I'm done. Now I'm getting ready to put it on the buggy, and this is what I'm talking about. This hose will not twist. I mean, I don't care if it's 5 feet long, it will not twist. Okay, so now I'm in here, and as you can see, I'm not at the right angle to get onto my fitting. So what I'm going to have to do now, in my situation, luckily, I can just loosen this straight. Maybe. Got a little bit of pussyitis going here. Ugh, there we go. So I can just loosen that straight, and I can rotate this around now, but you see how the whole hose rotated. Now, if I didn't have that straight on there, if I had another elbow, I would have to loosen this. And by doing so, it's going to push this out of the hose, so that's a problem. So you're going to want to make sure that you have this, preferably put it onto your fitting, push your hose on it, and mark your hose and this, and then take it back apart, put this nut over it, and make sure that your marks are lined up before you tighten it. Because once you do, you're building this hose and then you're stuck with it. So, like I said, I can rotate mine, and now I can get it on here. Being one-handed, it kind of sucks. But anyway, so you get the picture. Make sure your stuff is clocked in the right position before you build your hose. So anyway, once you have that hose in there, it's going to fit super tight. And this hose, by the way, is 300 PSI. No. This hose is 1000 PSI at 300 degrees. Now you can figure that's a 300 continuous running temperature. So this hose would probably hit 500 to 600 for a couple of minutes and without damaging it. And so what you're going to want to do is just get this started into there. Ouch. Watch out for those braided lines. They're a bummer when you poke your finger on them. Yeah, it'll work. It's just hard to get started. Once you get started, you just crank it on into the threads. Now you might want to use the wrenches made for A&N hose fittings. They are aluminum wrenches. And then the other thing you're going to want to do is mark this braided line to make sure that it's not coming out as you're tightening it. And if I can find it, good way to do that is your blue tape. And you just put it around the end, right even with that. That way, if you start getting a gap in here, you know it's pushing your hose out. You do not want your hose to back out of that nut. But I love this hose because it's simple repair in the field. But being it's 1,000 PSI at 300 degrees, it's highly unlikely that you're going to blow a hose. All the hoses that you buy at AutoZone and things like that, those are only good for 60, PSI, and a lot of them aren't good for oil. These hoses here are good for pretty much any hydraulic or corrosive styled things like gasoline. You're not going to kill these hoses with all those chemicals. So basically these hoses, once they're built and they're built right, they're pretty much 20 or 30-year hoses on a car. Put it on a top fuel dragster, maybe that's a little different, but on your basic street car, you're looking at a very long life. So you look at the price and you say, well, I'm going to spend 20 bucks more on that hose than I would on this AutoZone stuff. And you try to save 20 bucks, but 6 months from now, you're on the side of the road because that hose blew on you. Or you're out in the middle of the desert, and that's when it becomes not worth it. You pay 20 bucks just to get towed back. So just buy the damn hose now and do it right. So I am pretty much the end. You do not need to crank this down tight with that. It's not about how tight it is up against that nut. It's just that you tighten it up, and the flares inside here are now squeezing this hose. And there's no way you're going to break it. And just double check that your tape didn't move. That lets you know that your hose didn't come out. And there you go. You got your stainless steel braided hose. Oh, A&N stands for the people who created this. It was made for the Army and the Navy. There's your A&N. This is Vic Ferrari in the garage. Thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and have a great day.